Morning everybody, it's Nick. I wanted to talk about the menopause today. I've tried to start this vlog a few times and I've really struggled and it suddenly hit me. The reason why I'm struggling is because the menopause is really quite a complex thing. It's made up of several different layers, interactions. When I was with my menopause consultant yesterday, I described it. I don't know if anybody watched Chernobyl, the film where the guy's in the courtroom and he's explaining how nuclear energy, the nuclear fusion works, and how when you take one part of it away, the very significant consequences of that. And I think that is, for me, the best analogy I can come up with to try and talk about the different interactions, very sophisticated interactions between a whole number of things, not just your hormones and the physical side, but also the emotional and the mental side, and they're all interlinked because of the neurological link. But having said that, rather than not saying anything because I feel it's too complex, so to try and get through the complex to the simple, I guess, I thought I'd just focus on a couple of points today, particularly because they stood out for me. So yesterday, I'm 2.5 years in. I see my consultant about every 4 months, and it's really important that I see him because we make quite a lot of changes. So the feedback loop and the constant review is very important with the menopause because it changes. By definition, it's a transitional phase of our life, so it doesn't stay the same. And what we found is that rather than me having these really acute highs and lows of chronic fatigue and getting very overwhelmed and anxious and down, we seem to have really cracked what I would call the estrogen challenge we faced. So we found a delivery mode, we found a make, and we found a volume that suits my body very well. And my estrogen levels are really consistent and much more stable. So we've got a really good foundation to work from. And I think that's been so noticeable over the last few months because, I'm just not having the fatigue crashes that I would have before. But there is a couple of things still happening. One is there is a background tiredness. It's not enough to stop me doing stuff, but it's kind of there. It's like somebody's turned the volume down, but I can still hear the music. That's the best analogy for that one. And the other one is I still have this real struggle with weight, and it's a really odd thing because it's not weight all over my body. It's particularly around my middle, and I'm sure any other middle-aged woman listen to this will probably be shaking their head going, yep, I know what you mean. As hard as you try and exercise, and I do keep really fit, and I probably eat less now than I ever have. That midriff is still a little bit rounder than I would like it to be. So there were two big things that came out of yesterday. One is I was diagnosed as insulin resistant when I started seeing my menopause consultant. Now, I've been insulin resistant all of my life. It's primarily a genetic thing. But the reason it hadn't been so prevalent, and I'd probably just felt it as a sweet tooth before, but it didn't really have any other, it didn't manifest itself any other way, is because when your body produces natural estrogen, it's quite a good sparring partner for your insulin, is the best way to think about it. And I think we do often miss the big message, which is insulin is our biggest hormone. It's a really big deal. But when your body stops producing estrogen, and mine for whatever reason stopped producing it very quickly, so all of my estrogen is now provided to me via my HRT patch, but it's not, and it's never going to be as good as my natural estrogen was. It's a good fake, really, but it means it's not up to sparring with my insulin in the way that my natural body estrogen was. So therefore, my insulin is winning the battle. And that manifests itself in terms of weight gain around my stomach, quite a lot of fluid retention, which has been getting quite bad of late. And also I get quite bad nausea at night. And the reason I get that is because I take medication for insulin resistance, and I take it in the morning. And by the time I go to bed at night, it's wearing off, which means my insulin is starting to rage a battle on my body, which makes me feel rough. I don't know if you've ever had that sick feeling in the morning. That's actually something to do with your insulin. So what we've decided to do is to actually split my insulin medication between the morning and the evening, so that although I'll take a lower amount in the morning, I will also be able to take some more in the evening, so that, because effectively the medication I take regulates the insulin. That's its job, which will keep it more under control. And the other big thing, two big things actually that I need to do with my insulin is I really have to avoid carbs, and it's not actually that difficult. It's easier than you might think, because actually they just make me feel really rough. So I eat a lot more probably protein and vegetables than I ever did, just because the carbs do make me feel quite rough. And also I need to try, which isn't too difficult for me I guess, but to actually move, to physically walk and do some exercise for like 2 times 30 minutes a day, particularly after my morning and evening meal. But the point I'm trying to make is you don't have to be diabetic to be insulin resistant. So I'm not a diabetic, although diabetic people are generally insulin resistant. That's the way around it works. I suspect there are probably a lot of middle-aged women out there who may not have had insulin resistant diagnosed. And I think it is a conversation we do need to have, and that people need to get access to the expertise, because I think a lot of women have probably had it all of their life, and it's really becoming very prevalent in the menopause. And if the insulin resistance is ignored, then whatever you're doing relative to your hormones is never going to be as effective, and you're never going to feel as well as you could do, because insulin is a hormone, and if you are insulin resistant, it needs dealing with, otherwise you're going to feel rough. The second thing that came out of yesterday was this underlying tiredness. It's not bad enough to stop me doing anything. It's just a pain, really. You just kind of go, get a cup of tea and get some fresh air and you'll be fine. But we talk about estrogen and progesterone and the classic female hormones. There's a big one that really affects us, and that's testosterone. So again, and I don't know why, it's probably not really worth chewing over too much, but my body decided to stop making enough testosterone as well. So I use a testosterone gel for that. But it showed up yesterday on my blood results. It's really, really low, and that's what the background tiredness is. So we've just had to amend my dosage for that. But again, I think that's a more of a hidden conversation. It's not an obvious one. So insulin and testosterone, I think, are two big conversations around the menopause that needs to be checked. And really, ultimately, it comes down to having a consultant, having access to expertise from somebody who is going to do a full and thorough and frequent review of your blood. So this isn't just a one-off thing that happens. My blood's reviewed every 4 to 6 months, particularly because I'm insulin resistant. And also there then needs to be a layering on top of those blood results, joining the dots of the physical, emotional and mental symptoms you're having, because they all tell a story. It's like this, honestly, it's just like a really sophisticated performance dashboard. That's the way I look at it. And the final thing I wanted to mention is I have spoken to lots of women that leave the consulting room really confused and not sure what they've been told or what they should do or why they should take what they should take. And I think it's really important that you feel comfortable, that you really understand what's going on. My consultant is brilliant, and we draw pictures and we discuss it, because I'm not with my consultant every day, so I have to be empowered to be able to listen to my body, to be able to look for the signals, look for when my body's telling me that something's short or not short, and to be able to have that conversation. So please don't leave a consulting room if you're feeling confused or that your questions haven't been answered. That is not a reflection on you. That is a reflection on the fact it's a complex discussion, and the person having that discussion, who is the professional, does have a responsibility to sit with you and to talk it through and find a way for you to be able to understand what's happening to your body, because it's by empowering us that then we're in a much better position to manage our symptoms and to live the fullest and the best life we can, which is just so important for everybody. So I hope that helps. As ever, that is my journey. Every journey is bespoke, which is why, I'm a great advocate of women having access to the professional expertise they need to have access to, because it is a complex picture. I just hope that, by sharing this story, it gives others hope that there is help out there, and there is definitely a way forward, and going through the menopause does not have to be the worst thing in the world if we are given the right support. In actual fact, in a lot of ways, it's actually incredibly liberating. So lots of love. Hope you stay safe. Take care. Bye.